Okay, let's start. Let's start with Ignacio. I'd like to talk about our quote-unquote experiment, Blueband, which eventually became a product, and things that we are now doing based on the so-called experiments of the past. And early this morning, we were talking about the fact that when we up, we did it in Buenos Aires. That was back in 2003. And throughout time, we reached out to other countries and eventually to other continents. We now have 36 offices around the world in 14 years of existence. We have become the fastest growing company in the history of Argentina through technology, which is our core business. I was saying that we started it originally with 4 founders, partner founders, in 2003, and then little by little, we started to offer our services. Our first customer was EMC Sword, a Boston company in the United States. When we started up the company, we decided that we should do something different compared to other companies who used to develop software in Argentina that would normally serve the local market. So we went on and reached out to Europe and the United States. Many people told us that we were crazy, that we would have to bear with different languages, working remotely, and still we started to perform pretty well. Lastminute.com was a company in the UK that started to work with us. Then we started opening up offices in Colombia, also Uruguay. And then we went over to Europe with an office in London, the other in Spain. We opened an office in Chile, and just a couple of years ago, we became the first company to buy an Indian technology company. It is normally the other way around, so we were the first ones in Latin America and in Argentina, of course, to buy an Indian company in India. So we went on, and then we jumped from these 4 founders to over 6,500 people, spread in 36 offices, different continents and languages. In the US, we have over 600 Globers, and we have purchased 3 other companies in the US to be closer to our customers in the US. And we came across problems, issues that we realized are not new. When we began, we said we wanted to become the top 1 company in what we did. We want to be the best companies in software development in Latin America, from Latin America to the world. But then we said, what should we do to transmit the idea, to send the message across, if we can't be physically in every place? You have to jump over a plane, fly, and go to the place to explain to others how is it that you become top 1 in what you do. And, well, these are real pictures of the over 6,500 Globers that we have today around the world. And something that happened at the beginning, when we used to be less than 100 people, it was easier to meet each other. How many of you work in a smaller than 100 people company, in a startup? Probably. Some of you do. Some of you also participate in companies of over 500 workers, right? I'm sure you do. More than half of you do, actually. Then, well, We then realized that it would become real hard to get to know everyone by their names and their faces, and then spot out the best talented people to help the company grow, considering our geographic dispersion. What we do is normally digital transformation. Most projects we currently are involved with have to do with helping our customers interact with what they do in a digital way. And there's this quote from Peter Drucker that I really appreciate, and that many companies, large companies especially, have well understood, which is to have culture, a good culture. And very few companies actually invest in culture, values, and the mission, all of that. But what do we do to have a good enough and healthy culture? When we turned 5 years of existence, 9 years ago, on our birthday number 5, we decided to identify what was it that would make it global differentiate from the rest, and we defined our values. It was like dip finger in the dip sauce and try it. It was like going the opposite direction. We started by the values we wanted to have. Think big, act ethically, constantly innovate, etc., etc. And when we turned 5, then we used to be fewer people. We said these are the so many things that will represent us, and we started to expose them in our meeting rooms, in our web page, and we realized that this wouldn't be enough because exactly of the geographic distribution. We started to tell everyone around, and it was hard to reach out to every single person. We have an area of the company called Globant Labs, and we gave them the challenge of building an app, maybe, or a website where people, this was back in 2008, by the way, where people could start to live by the values, started to display those values, all Globers. What you see on the screen is what the company developed at the beginning. If, like, for instance, I would be in a customer's office, I had to connect via VPN. I had to go into the wiki. I had to scroll through different menus. And to go into our application was really a challenge. Remember, this is 9 years ago. A bad experience. So, the idea of this trial was to give each one an amount of stars that they could use to identify other Globers. What's the game then? The game is the following. If Nacho, next to me here, who has helped build this presentation, I could give him for that a star. I can give you a star, Ignacio, for your excellent job, for putting up the presentation for me, and I'm sending him that star. Anyone can view that. This is transparent, visible information that just any Glober from the company can see and then acknowledge others. This way, we started to push a culture of acknowledgement. So we started to do this and use this as a trial, and people suddenly started to engage. And after 2 months, we checked what was going on. It was like lifting the lid of a pot and see what's inside the pot boiling. And it was amazing to see so many stars. It's about 800 people then, and what we did was to identify the top 5 stars. We invited them to participate in a barbecue party. Of the 5 of them, we just knew 3 of them. So we invited them over, And we ask them about what are the things that we're doing good, we're doing bad, where and how are we becoming a hurdle. And because they were the 5 Globers who had really displayed our values the best. After some months, we stopped the barbecues because we were eating too much. So we replaced them for having breakfast with the founders or other kinds of activities. We would give an award, which is the Star Me Up trophy, and it holds the name of the experiment, actually. This thing has evolved in 8 years, of course, and just a year ago, we made it available for customers to use it, to customize it with their own values and use it in their own companies. What's interesting is that this has generated a huge amount of data, information, that allows to build lots of reports.
Es poder ver el ranking en cada oficina.
Of course, you can see the ranking. I visited our office in Colombia, in Bogota, and apart from meeting with the country manager, I organized a lunch with the 3 top stars in the office. And that way, I got to meet new people who may have a great impact in the organization. That's really hard to tell without the stars, the acknowledgement. It could be anyone, not just a manager, of course not. Just anyone in the company can be a big star holder. So there's different areas like facilities here, which is well acknowledged for solving internal requests. This STAR program is similar to tapping the backs of people just from far away. It's an acknowledgement, basically. Then these are the cards of things that have happened the previous week. Here, for instance, in this graph are the different offices. Here's the one from Buenos Aires, and the amount of stars that are kept inside, and others that are traveling overseas or to other countries. And then you see the exchange.
Un usuario en particular y ver su grafo social.
We can also see their social network. Offices that are not being used a lot. It's like a snapshot of the company and what's going on. This is value-based, it's culture-based, basically. So here is also more on that. Same thing. We have already taken over 11 companies, and it takes about a year until the taken over company is become part of the ecosystem. The Star Me Up program is part of this engagement process.
Bueno, también nos dimos cuenta de que impacta muchísimo en evaluaciones de desempeño que nosotros hacemos cada 6 meses.
We also perform performance assessments every 6 months to check how people are doing, considering promotions to senior positions. And there's a good relationship between the well-acknowledged people and the most valuable players in the office. In the last 6 months, we've invested a lot in that dashboard. And we even started to apply some of the artificial intelligence techniques. We started to identify patterns. And like here, for instance, I can identify people who are risking to leave the company. Like if there's someone who has never received a star, like for 4 months, has never received a star for 4 months, it tells me 9% of users didn't get a star in the last 3 months, for instance. And you can export that to an Excel spreadsheet to see who of those talents should be retained or do something about that. Then also some interesting findings here are that just by talking to people working in the neurosciences field, this, they say, is an application that feels good to use. There's an enzyme. This is really interesting. Just pay attention to this. We have this enzyme in our brain that every time we give something away, or if you give something to someone, like in a birthday, you give them a present, you feel good for that. So we started to run analysis, and giving a star also generates that feeling. So the star giver will feel as good as the star receiver. And it's interesting because there's also this other soft part of things. And one of the customers who's using Start Me Up is Santander. Santander is actually using this at a global level, and over 190,000 employees at the bank, and in just a matter of 3 months, over 55% of Santander's payroll globally is under the Star Giving program. I'm not sure whether someone from Santander right here. Oh, there's other companies as well who have participated in this program, implementing, of course, their own values, their own culture. And what's even more interesting, not just about the Start Me Up program, but other applications, is this operating system for cultures and organizations, and it is what to do for companies to be prepared and ready for a digital transformation. If there's digital transformation, technology is really important, but even more important are people. People that should be ready, that should be acquainted with those processes in order to have a better interaction between the external world and technology. Hello, by the way, good afternoon. If I could add something to Axel's comments on the digital transformation. We're constantly talking about transformation, and digital transformation has 3 pillars, which are to us critical. The technology pillar, of course, the methodology pillar, which goes along with technology, and thirdly, culture. That is not always the most prominent one for us, and instead, organization leaders should be better at identifying that third pillar, strengthening it. Culture is important, and it is important. It is certainly very important. If you just check the statistics, the differences in terms of productivity and operation efficiency, if you compare teams, the ones that are better or more better performers, that is showing that there's a very good positive thing in working together. At Globant, as the word states, we are a very global company. We have 5 different time zones, for instance, because we are spread around the world. We talk in different languages, we think in different languages. However, we have things in common, objectives, the relationship with our customers in digital transformations, for instance. It's important. Other companies may have different objectives, but still, like this graph that should be on the screen. It's a bit dark, though.
Dejémosla ahí. El uso de Start Me Up en nuestra compañía.
In the Start Me Up, the idea is that we get to different data dimensions or analysis dimensions, and we started to find all sorts of people or groups of people, the ones who really make a difference, and we started to see things that we could visualize that were invisible, like game changers, those people who make things happen. And within those groups, I will tell you some things about Globant. The first one is Agus Milanesio from Córdoba. He is, Agustin is the Globant ambassador, that's how we call him, because everything that happens around him has the Globant culture. That's why we call him La Chispa, or the spark. He's always looking for excellence. He has lots of fun He's a team member, the one you always want in your team, because he's there with you all the time. One of our values is to have fun. And I would say the most important one. For example, yesterday here in Santiago's office, we did Halloween celebration. Once a year we go to a trip. We organize a trip, and Agustin is heading that organization. It's a very special trip because it's the only one that lasts 4 days and 7 nights. That's the way it goes in Globant. 4 days and 7 nights.
De una chica de India, de Lina. Lina es
Another another girl from India, Lina Krupp. She is a magician. She knows how old your son is. She knows if you're sick. That's why she's called the mother of all Glovers. And the third case, which I would say is the more iconic from Global, right here. Stand up, yes. Justo Vargas. I don't know what would be about Globant. He lived in Formosa, in a small little town that I don't even know how to pronounce. And then he started to receive and give stars and to communicate to his peers and show us all his talent, all his capacity. I think that the definition of Glover 360 is the best one, because this is a person that the president of Argentina talked about in one of his speeches because of his growth and the history that he's always undertaken. Anything you do with him will take you to a different level. He always brings things to a different level. These findings led us to find other tools or look for other tools or solutions, technological solutions that would enable us to identify these people that were so important to us. I don't know what's happening with the video here. It just does not work. It's kind of the renegade part of the presentation, of every presentation.
No podía salir todo bien, ¿eh?
No, no podía salir todo bien. Donde nada puede malir sal. No sé, no quiere cargar el video. Lo estuvimos viendo recién.
I'm really sorry, but we just saw the video and it worked fine. We created an ecosystem for applications that we called the Start Me Up OS, operative system for cultural organizations. We have a lot of things that go through different niches. For example, we have Start Me Up, peer-to-peer. The other one that is bitter. Oh, the Google session is soft, but look at this now.
No estaba en el caché, ¿eh?
No, sí, estaba todo en caché, pero no, te lo quedaste.
It was in the cache memory. I don't know what happened.
Ahí está. Ahora debería funcionar. Ahí está. Start Me Up, la herramienta de reconocimiento de la evolución.
So the idea is to Start Me Up evolution, and we are developing the product and taking it to a third level. Now we are starting on developing new applications that would enable us to show or bring the improvements of our companies to our clients. BDA is one of them. It's an organizational window. We are a global company and we want to see ourselves and others, of course. We want to know how we're working from Mar del Plata to Pune, from San Francisco to Buenos Aires, from Santiago to Lima. And this tool helps us do so. Show us. Better Me 360 for micro moments of the feedback and saying, right now you did something that was outstanding, or in this aspect you need to improve, or you rock, or yours is good, but your peers are doing something better. These are the kind of tools that are going to tell us who's who and who's relevant. And the last take part, that is also, by the way, Vargas' idea, is browsings of ideas, is to generate new ideas that the organization would launch them. So that's the whole thing of Start Me Up OS team, and that's what we are doing. We're working hard to empower people on top of organization, looking for people become in the guardians of our organizational culture. I guess we're out of time. Time is up, okay. Well, just to close this, we are organized in studios. Our studios is future organizations. It's the first one you can see in blue under strategic. Tomorrow we are going to give another presentation, and then we will see artificial intelligence. Okay, so please be with us. We'll have Gabby also looking what we're looking at, what we're doing, especially for our clients such as Big Name and many others. Many others that we have here and in other countries. Okay? Thank you. A round of applause for them.
Felicitarlo a ambos por su disposición.
Thank you very much for your willingness to participate. If any of the attendees wants to ask a question, suggestion, or comment, you're more than welcome.
Bueno, ahí, mientras tanto nos hacen una primera pregunta, algo que no sé si llegaron a anotar los emails nuestros, el mío es bastante fácil, es a@global.
In the meanwhile, I'm giving my email. We do not have stand outside, but if you want to visit us in our offices here in Las Condes in Santiago, that would be great. Just get in touch, okay? We can show you how we work. Questions? Yes. Thank you very much for the presentation. It's really a huge challenge to have so many people in technical area. I work for a while. I have as a teacher. I train computer engineering or computer future engineers. So I wanted to make a couple of comments. The first thing is that what I see is a trend that the best or the most talented ones are not going to large companies. They are looking for small companies. At least that's my experience. What I've seen, the best people prefer to stay in smaller groups. I'm not saying that it cannot be done, but it's just a great challenge to make them want to be part of it. And the second, your presentation, I did not see the professional development perspective for developers. I can see the acknowledgement, yes, but sometimes what they're looking for is, you talked about artificial intelligence. Things are happening, of course, and when they go out in the university and you see 4 or 5 years and you have not updated your things, then it runs to be obsolete. So what is the opportunity we have professional development and learning on the we are hiring? And I think that was not part of your presentation. Those would be my comments. Okay, let's talk about the first comment. I think it's very valid. I agree, but I partially. 2 things. The first part is that the best people is not outside. You train them. People is trained. And our objective as a company
sino que es formar la mejor gente.
Is that people come and we train them. For 7 years, I have a semi-senior Android developer, and only a month ago I led the Future of Organizations model. That is something totally new in the presentations, and something, well, I am a baccalaureate in systems, in IT, so I never thought I was going to finish by leading the services and platforms, as we call them, that is oriented towards organizational culture.
Estrictamente al software, que es lo que yo estudié.
Which means that the professionals, we have professionals that are incredible in our company, in 100,000 people, if they have so many people, of course. But I also think that in small companies that could do some things as well, good things as well. So the way in which we work in Globant is one that helps us to scale up and do the things that you're talking about, this career path, because it changes and it grows at very specific areas. And if I grow 30%, then I need 30% more leaders. And I have to train them, I have to create them, they have to come out from my company. Why? Because you cannot hire leaders with this culture that is so strange and so global that we have, that could get and be part of that culture and bring them ahead. Did I answer your question? Okay, good, thank you.
Gracias. Le damos nuevamente un aplauso.
Thank you very much, and a round of applause. I would like to invite you, if you have any more questions, please, let's talk outside, of course, with our speakers, and now we can continue. Thank you.